The first station. Jesus is condemned to death. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. Then Pilate handed Jesus over to them to be crucified.
We are grateful for organizations like Make the Road, which provide service to tackle discrimination and abuse. We enter into this moment where Jesus stands alone before Pilate, voiceless, misunderstood, and judged. As we stand with him, we unite ourselves with all those who seek to create a meaningful future for themselves and their families, our neighbors, who are refugees and immigrants. We recognize the presence of Jesus in all persons who are displaced. We grade their exclusion, lack of personal and family security, and the racial and xenophobic attitudes. We punish and ostracize them, those fleeing dangerous and oppressive systems will find a welcoming path to citizenship.
The second station. Jesus takes up his cross. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
Jesus was led away, carrying the cross by himself.
Our friends at Catholic Charities offer dignified and compassionate care to those who, like carrying a cross, try to maintain emotional wellness. Jesus carried the crosses of his life without complaint, in the way that he carries all the burdens of his life, but in particular, the way in which he carries this awful final burden. He transforms the cross from a symbol of condemnation into one of liberation. There are burdens that we all carry, some very obvious and others not so visible, because we take great care to hide. The burden of mental illness leaves many in fear, loneliness, and isolation. This ministry, inspired by the gospel, liberates those encumbered by mental strife because they believe that every human life is sacred.
The third station. Jesus falls the first time. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. It was our pain that he bore, our sufferings he endured. Though harshly treated, he submitted and did not open his mouth. Like a lamb led to slaughter, or a sheep silent before shearers, he did not open his mouth.
Places such as Hope House serve as a source of healing and strength for those who have fallen in any way. Through the transformative power of love, they pick up those who struggle with addictions and guide them to a hopeful future. Look at Jesus fall under his cross. He might have fallen into the street or slouched in a doorway on some forsaken location. He doesn't look much like God there, but he didn't look like God when he stumbled and fell on the way to Calvary either. The crowds look on with disdain at this man, whom they see as a sinner, who has been condemned to death by the authorities. Like the crowd, we often have only condemnation and rejection for those we see as sinners. We judge them without knowing about their trials, scourging, and crowning with thorns.
The fourth station. Jesus meets his mother. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
Simeon blessed them and said to Mary, You yourself a sword will pierce, so that the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed. And Mary kept all these things in her heart.
During Jesus' public life, Mary, his mother, had to step aside to make place for the birth of Jesus' new family, the family of these disciples. Yet on this day the disciples fled, but Mary did not flee. She stayed there with a mother courage, a mother fidelity, a mother goodness, and faith that did not waver in the hour of despair. Just as Mary believing in her son, the staff at the rural migrant ministries understand they need to engage in successful campaign to support minimum wage for the farm workers. Working together, side by side, the workers are provide hope, encouragement, and empowerment as they effort bring nutritious food to our tables.
The fifth station. Simon helps Jesus carry the cross. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you,
because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. They pressed into service a passerby, Simon, a Cyrenian, who was coming in from the country to help carry his cross.
The staff, board, and volunteers at the Long Island Immigration Clinic encounter those seeking asylum and relief from the suffering that has caused them to leave their homeland. With others, they became involved in a rapid response network, mobilizing on behalf of vulnerable immigrants who were at risk of being detained and possibly deported. Like Simon, volunteers are recruited and trained to help them complete their asylum applications, accompany and empower them to represent themselves at federal court hearings and other appointments.
The sixth station. Veronica wipes the face of Jesus with her veil. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you,
because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
He had no majestic bearing to catch our eye, no beauty to draw us to him. He was spurned and avoided by people, and was held in no esteem.
The men and women of Pronto perform countless acts of kindness every day, welcoming strangers, feeding the hungry, and clothing those in need. They see the face of God in every person who walks through their doors. They are the compassion of Veronica. Veronica embodies the yearning of all believers to see the face of God. On Jesus' way of the cross, Veronica quite simply performed an act of kindness to the beaten man before her. Veronica shows courage born of goodness.
The seventh station. Jesus falls for the second time. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you,
because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. Jesus replied, a man fell victim to robbers as he went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. They stripped and beat him and went off, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down that road, but he passed by on the opposite side. Likewise, a Levite came to the place, and when he saw him, he passed by on the opposite side. But a Samaritan traveler who came upon him was moved with compassion at the sight.
Long Island Cares, the Harry Chapin Food Bank, along with others, has been on a mission to feed Long Island food insecure and stamp out the root cause of hunger. Move with compassion, they truly care for the people of Long Island. All around us, people are overburdened by the cross they carry. They struggle and sometimes fall. They fall victim to an unpredictable economy. There are those who have lost their job, those who live with prospect of unemployment, and those who struggle to keep others in work.
The eighth station. Jesus meets the women of Jerusalem. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
A large crowd of people followed Jesus, including many women who mourned and lamented him. Jesus turned to them and said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Weep instead for yourselves and for your children."
Look at Jesus and listen to his message for us today. Weep for the children who are abused. Weep for the young who seek to belong and are at times forced into gangs to find a sense of security. Weep for the parents who lose their children to violence and other cultural temptations. We can begin to dry our tears when groups such as Strong Youth promotes positive values through the empowerment of youth. When there is engagement in collaborative initiatives, which provide youth and their families with tools to improve their lives and their communities and to create societal change.
The ninth station. Jesus falls the third time. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. You impose on people burdens hard to carry, but you yourselves do not lift one finger to touch them. Woe to you.
The Amos Project, a movement of solidarity, is the community outreach campaign of Long Island Jobs with Justice that aims to create a coalition of conscience among faith, labor, and community organizations. In solidarity, this coalition lifts the weight of the crosses our neighbors carry by providing public education and advocacy for and with working people to address the public policies as well as the economic systems and structures that cause worker injustices and poverty on Long Island. With life's burdens lifted, people are able once again to stand and live their life to the full.
The 10th station. Jesus is stripped of his garments. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
And when they had crucified him, they divided his garments among them by casting lots. Then they sat down and kept watch over him there.
The indignity Jesus experienced at this moment of the removal of his clothing is accompanied by shame and insecurity. We call to mind at-risk children, youth, women, and men who have been stripped by the circumstances of their security and become victims of trafficking. With their dignity, identity, and freedom removed, they are captive in the fastest growing criminal industry in the world as a family becomes fragile. At this station, we pray for the victims and express gratitude for organizations such as Lifeway Network working to abolish human trafficking. As they provide safe housing and education, may those who have been trafficked be clothed with a sense of safety and draped in dignity to restore what was taken from them.
The 11th station. Jesus is crucified. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. But he was pierced for our sins, crushed for our iniquity. He bore the punishment that makes us whole. By his wounds we were healed.
Living a gospel-centered life moved Jesus to question the structures of his time. And those challenged by his call looked to stop him by nailing him to the cross. As disciples of Jesus, we are called to live the good news through an active, inclusive love, no matter the challenge or cost. It is easy to recognize an individual's sin of racism when someone violates justice or fails to extend the love of Christ to others. But even people who want to live justly cannot escape the taint of racism. Groups and organizations such as the United Way of Long Island are working to dismantle disparities and strive to engage residents and community members, especially those whose voices have traditionally been marginalized, in the shared work of fortifying equity and empowerment. May we find the courage to stand with others, to carry out our call to love without distinction, and join our voices in a united way to unequivocally denounce racism and ethnic discrimination.
The 12th station. Jesus dies on the cross. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
Jesus cried out in a loud voice, my God, why have you forsaken me? Then Jesus gave a loud cry and breathed his last.
Just as Jesus thirsted as he hung upon the cross, the waters that used to teem with all forms of life are dying off. As Pope Francis states in Laudato Si', even as the quality of available water is constantly diminishing, in some places there is a growing tendency, despite its scarcity, to privatize this resource, turning it into a commodity subject to the laws of the market. Yet access to safe drinking water is a basic and universal human right, since it is essential to human survival and, as such, is a condition for the exercise of other human rights. Our world has a grave social debt toward the poor who lack access to drinking water. In response, water protectors such as the Shinnecock kelp farmers are calling forth creativity and collaboration to restore the waters that hold life and provide sustenance. Their actions are not leaving the Creator's work forsaken.
The 13th station. Jesus is taken down from the cross. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. Joseph of Arimathea, a distinguished member of the council, came and courageously went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Having bought a linen cloth, he took him down and wrapped him in the linen cloth.
A companion of Jesus, Joseph of Arimathea, possessed faith and trust in God's mercy to become a disciple. Rooted in the same faith and trust, the staff of New Hour provides support and services to current and formerly incarcerated women, their children and families, who share in the burden of their crosses and accompany them to successful re-entry and reunification. They look into the eyes of another, not at past missteps, and with tender care reintegrate them into society.
The 14th station. Jesus is laid in the tomb. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
Because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
Taking the body, Joseph wrapped it in clean linen and laid it in his new tomb that he had hewn in the rock. Then he rolled a huge stone across the entrance to the tomb and departed.
Today, many families in Suffolk County struggle to find a place to lay their heads, a place to call home. There are many reasons why families experience homelessness. Our neighbors at Wyandanch Homes and Property Development Corporation provide affordable rental housing to families experiencing homelessness and those whose income is low, and provide supportive services to help them so they achieve self-sufficiency. Their guidance and support help families make lifelong behavioral changes, giving them the ability to break free of all they feel entombed by, leading them to economic self-sufficiency.
The 15th station. Jesus is raised from the dead. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you,
because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. On the first day of the week, Mary of Magdala came to the tomb early in the morning, while it was still dark, and saw the stone removed from the tomb.
As the congregation of the great love of God, we believe our loving God is intimately present in all creation and desires its flourishing. Our rootedness in the gospel of Jesus calls us to deepen our awareness of the grave systemic injustices of our time. We commit ourselves to the risk and cost of fostering right and just relationships among all our sisters and brothers on earth, our common home. We acknowledge the culpability of our own biases and our participation in oppressive social, political, and religious policies and practices. In response to the sin of racism and other evils, we pledge ourselves to undergo personal and communal transformation. We commit ourselves to sharing our spiritual and material resources, to networking and partnering, and to creating ongoing formation and educational opportunities to address racism, restorative justice, immigration reform, human trafficking, LGBTQIA biases, gender inequality, climate change, and other emerging issues. In this way, we all work toward the transformation of ourselves, our congregation, the diverse communities in which we live and work, and our world. As we do, may all come to know the risen Christ.